So I can look Tom up and go, yep, I'm calling him on his cell phone, bam, and I press it. I'm calling him on his office phone, bam. Oh, he's only got one X. Oh, darn, I wish I had his cell phone. But I press that instead. I may want to advertise out just one number. These are the changes, these are the complexity, but you don't want to drive cost with it. So as you think about these things, right, this is what you come to. You know, from a user, hey, I want a consistent matter how I do it where I am. Am I on the beach in Lauderdale this spring break? I should be the same as if I'm in the dorm or in the contact center. It shouldn't matter. From IT, this is trickier. Who gets what, where, when? That's simply it. Can I keep it secure? Can I manage this movement, this mobility? Because I need to let it happen, but I need to manage it, right? And I want to make sure I've got capacity and quality of service. If I give everybody access and I let them roam around and it's all wireless, but I haven't provided that capacity, what have I provided? A failed project. Because people are going to go, you have got to be kidding me. You call that video? You know, and they'll jump off on their 4G network and say, that's video. They will. I mean, we see it. You know, because they're saying, I get a better experience on my cell phone. Why am I dealing with this stuff? This is nutty. And as new employees come into the workforce, they expect it. The expectation is Skype. The expectation is mobility. The expectation is, I'll give you the productivity, but I really want to do it where I want to do it. So we want to make sure that we can happen, right? So, you know, in this case, we'll put up a couple of cases that we really kind of talked about today. You have the teleworker who's contact centered, right? They're doing all this stuff where they want to do it. They want to get paid. You know, we have the road warrior, the dean. He's on the road. You know, this guy is a power user, but he needs to be able to do whatever he wants wherever he is, be that video, voice, conferencing. He may have to give keynote addresses from a hotel in Singapore, and he wants to be able to do that because he's going to come back over. We can't limit him because he's on the road. I've got folks that are roaming around. You know, you may have adjunct professors that don't have an office but need to hot desk in. How do you deal with that? And maybe how do you deal with folks like yourselves that are roaming, that are never quite in the same place at the same time? I've got to be able to do that, but give you what you need where you are. So we really want to think about this and say, guess what? There's a toolkit you have underneath this. Avaya delivers that on our communications platform. But we want to make sure that you're putting the right set of things and giving the right set of stuff to the right person on a single platform. You have to manage it, right? I want to be able to turn this out. And we didn't mention it, but one of the cool things we do with this whole Aura technology is sitting in the guts of it is a pretty cool piece of technology that lets us treat your environment as if it was a cell phone network. So why is that important? Think about cell phones. If you guys don't know who you have, Verizon, AT&T, it doesn't matter. Well, we could pick a carrier, and if we're all on the same one, I guarantee you we have 9 or 10 different plans with multiple different handsets, right? We all have different devices. How do they do that? By the technology that sits in the network that says, hey, Tom gets this set of features plus this many minutes, and I know how to bill them. I know how to treat everybody differently, and I can scale it into the tens of millions. That's what's sitting underneath this to let you all do the same identical thing in your environments. So it's really cool, right? Really cool, and you keep it secure. So, you know, as we look at this and try and move out a little bit, when you go to bring your own device, one of the biggest problems I've seen is people just throw it out there. Just roll it on top of what I got, it'll work. Not so fast. It'll work in a low environment, but not when you move it out into this bigger world, because there's lots of stuff going on. So think about this as you move forward, as you begin to have to adapt to this. What are the priorities? Why are you doing it? What's the business drivers behind it? Secondly, bucket your key users up, right? You know, in the event, if it was a school, I'd have students, I'd have admin, I'd have teachers, I may have principals in their own group, I may have football coaches in their own group, who knows? But I want to be able to put my users together so I can tie them to the appropriate applications. And we want to put a set of policies in that aren't a billion policies. I want to put a handful of policies that kind of deal with everything, right? Think about it. The fewer the policies we have, if they're set up right, the easier your jobs become over time. I can scale that. And specifically in wireless, there's a lot of stuff going on that really makes it hard. And, once again, make this thing common, right? I want a common architecture that's going to let me do anything anywhere, no matter how I'm doing, especially when it comes to access. So as we roam around, this is kind of what you're looking at, right? I've got lots of things. I want to rescale my network. And a lot of the wireless out there today is the older 802.11 stuff. It's not the 802.11n. And even more importantly, a lot of the N stuff that's going out isn't optimized for all of this real-time traffic. It's still built for data. And so what does that mean to you? A lot of the newer stuff that's coming out is really designed to deal with store and forward packet-based networks, which is okay for email. It's okay to move a PowerPoint presentation. It's okay to move data files, because if I get it there in a second, a half a second, 2 seconds, 10 seconds, does it matter? If I drop a few packets, IP figures that out and sends back the missing frames, and life is good, right? Pretty cool. Let's do that to a voice call. If I send the packets out of order, is that so good? If I drop every third packet and I'm waiting for IP to resend, in the meantime, you've already heard it. That's not so good. I'm sending video and I don't have quality service on my network, and all of a sudden it pixelates out and you start to sound like a frog. Not so good when you're addressing the board and you're asking for $4 million for your new project. I don't know why the frog asked for money for it. It just doesn't work. You've got to say, hey, I need to stop looking at building things to manage packets and start looking at building things to manage flows. That's the change. All this stuff we talked about doesn't work unless you're putting a foundation in that manages flows. That's the game. That's what SIP is. In a simple way to think about SIP, it's a conferencing protocol that rides on IP. It's designed to do ad hoc, real-time conferencing anytime, anywhere. And conferencing can be anything. It's not just voice, it's not just video. Think about it. When I make a call and I go grab your account file and pull it up, I'm conferencing, aren't I? In a little way, I'm conferencing a phone call with a data file. That's a form of conference. I've made 2 calls and I want to assemble them. If I move you along, how frustrating it is when you're on the phone with a company, I got your account number, oh hold, you got to go talk to this department. They move you over, hi, and they ask for all your information all over again. You start all over again because they haven't figured out how to move it along and keep it tagged. That's what conferencing does. That's what SIP solves. It's a new way. But if you don't think about, okay, now I've got flows to manage, how do I manage flows? You've got to look at the world in a different way. You've got to start understanding that these connections happen ad hoc. You no longer have the term north-south, right? I don't always have everything going into the data center and coming out, into the phone switch and coming out. I might have into the phone switch, peer traffic out, grabbing people in, going in. Now I'm going east and west in the data center because I hit this one thing, but I got to pick up an application to here, 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 bring it all back together. So my traffic is not single directional anymore. It's multi-directional, it's omnidirectional. And that's what's important to start to think about, how things change. So when I do this, right, I've got to build some stuff that, A, lets me deal with this. Do I have new networking that's designed and optimized for these calls that are constantly being set up and torn down? Do I have access methodologies that don't change no matter how I come at it, whether I'm remote, whether I'm on wireless, or whether I'm wired? That should be a constant, no matter where I'm doing. And at the end of the day, am I securing the edge of my SIP environment? We talked about it and joked about it, but really that's what Superior does, right? It's a SIP firewall, for simple terms. I've got to have that because that's what's being hacked today. You're moving away from your machines and onto your SIP environment. So if you don't secure it, the There's lots of problems. And they happen, but I don't want to add complexity. I don't want to add cost. So we want to help you, right? What we want to talk about is, how do I bring all this whole world together, right, and help you solve your problem? Help you bring together all these apps. Am I bringing it in on the cloud? Am I bringing it in direct? Am I bringing it in on wired, on wireless? How am I doing this? And does it really matter what I display it on? No. Shouldn't. You know, we're working with school districts today, and they're going to be using this, students, as their primary interface. Not that, this. Why? Because they don't mind that little screen, first of all. Second of all, it's because it's in their pocket. They want to do their homework on it, they want to do their lessons on it, they want to read on it, they don't want anything else. Let's do that for them. Let's let them get to this point and take care of all this stuff. So it's a holistic approach. It's bringing a wired infrastructure designed for this. It's delivering applications. It's understanding not a piece of it. Because a lot of vendors will come in and say, you know, that wireless delay, here's all your problems. Okay, but they haven't really asked you, what do you want to do? Where do you want to go? Have you thought about these other things? And that's really what Altura brings for us, because they come out and work with you guys and say, man, how do I do this? What are you guys really trying to do? So we can sit down and help them design the right solutions, because there is no one size fits all any longer. We've got a big toolkit. We want to build foundations so that as you guys layer on, it's real easy versus a blowout, a rip and replace. Gartner has a stat that I left out of here, but what they're saying is that every wireless network that's being deployed today, 80% of them will be ripped out in 2 years because they will not be able to support the kind of things I just told you about. That's a heck of an expense to blow out. That's a heck of an expense because why? Because it wasn't well thought out. They weren't dealing with partners like Altura. They're going to sit there and help you guys sort through this and say, yeah, you know what, I really need this. Not for today, but for where I want to be. So that's the first thing I want to talk about. The second thing is, so underneath it all, Avaya, when they bought Nortel, they bought a company called Bay Networks, which is part of Nortel, which has been building networking stuff forever and a day. So